Hey, what's up everybody? Yellow Turtle here with my co-host Beef. Welcome to another episode of the LUKSOfam podcast, brought to you by KEEZ. The LUKSOfam podcast is meant to be a short and informational show where we provide some takes on the latest LUKSO news in the space. Today, we are talking about some very exciting news in the LUKSO ecosystem. From partnerships to hackathons to liquid staking, we have some very exciting topics today. But before we get into all that, first, let's hear a word from our sponsors over at LEEQUID.
LEEQUID is a liquid staking solution purposely built for the LUKSO blockchain. Users can stake LYX tokens and in return, earn receipt SLYX tokens redeemable one-to-one for the deposited LYX. LEEQUID notably offers flexibility, allowing users to opt in or out of staking at any moment via the protocol's liquidity pool. This feature removes the potentially extensive wait times typically associated with traditional staking methods. With the support of advisors and multi-signatories from the LUKSO team, LEEQUID is steadfast in its commitment to achieving decentralization from the beginning, underlining transparency and trust. Following a thorough audit by consensus, LEEQUID is set to launch in October, integrating suggestions to ensure a seamless and secure user experience. Don't forget to follow LEEQUID on Twitter to stay updated on opportunities for earning passive rewards and contributing to the security of the LUKSO blockchain.
Beef, how are you feeling today, man?
Feeling good, feeling fresh. Just got back from Gulf of Mexico area for my best friend's wedding. Had a great time. Snagged a couple good pics, posted one over the weekend. It's probably my highest engagement LUKSO pick in a long time on my personal account. But yeah, no, doing super good. Today's a good day. How about you?
Oh, today's a great day, especially after watching that LEEQUID sponsorship. Today is a very good day. So let's talk about it for a second. Is there some news we'd like to discuss?
Oh yeah, do you hear that?
Ooh,
That's the
that?
sound of steaks right now on the grill, just cooking those rewards away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, LEEQUID is live. Today's the start of the first LUKSO native DeFi protocol.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you can now go over to LEEQUID.io and start staking your licks. It's a pretty exciting day. Users can use MetaMask right now, but the team is working really hard to implement more wallets. And then, with universal profiles, fingers crossed, hopefully launching within the next month and a half. Pretty soon you'll be able to use a universal profile, which is very, very exciting. We've been waiting a long time for this day.
Oh, yeah. I've been just watching our Genesis validators reaping all the rewards, and I've just been drooling at the chance. So you can bet Beef will be grilling.
Hell yeah.
So you want to hop into it?
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, so some interesting integrations have been coming out, some LUKSO news. Something called Thirdweb has announced that they would be streamlining LUKSO's authentication. Can you talk about what Thirdweb is and what it brings to LUKSO and universal profiles?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'd like to preface this by saying that I used to work for a very similar company / project last year when they did a similar thing where they provided developer tools and SDKs for login and authentication for dApps. So what Thirdweb does is they've created some developer tools so that people can implement Web3 login. So log in with your MetaMask or your Argent or with Wallet Connect in just 7 lines of code versus implementing, coding and developing your own auth system from scratch, which could take hundreds of lines of code, weeks of developer time to actually make, and then months out of the year to actually maintain. So Thirdweb handles all of that on their end, so you can focus on actually developing your app. They also offer what seems to be, a nice user experience. There's a lot of different customizations that you can do. You can add different types of login. You can have Web2 login on your dApp, different things like that. So it just is meant to make your developer experience a lot easier, and that way you don't have to worry about the boilerplate things that are going to be in every dApp, right? Every dApp is going to have you log in with your wallet. It's common across the board. So instead of wasting your time developing that on your own, you can quickly implement that into your app, just 7 lines of code.
Yeah, that's super nice. It'll really allow the team of these projects to focus on what matters, the substance of their dApp, not the, connection or logging in. And speaking on that, what's the importance between secure authentication, signing in and just connecting?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that there is a difference between actually connecting your wallet and signing in with your wallet. So when you simply just connect your wallet and you don't use, so let's take Ethereum, for example. If you're not using sign in with Ethereum or CWE, as most people call it, and you're just connecting, people can actually, you're not signing a transaction. And so you're not authenticating that you are the user that actually owns that wallet. You're not actually using your private key to verify that you are the wallet owner. And because of that, people can use different dApps. There's a dApp called impersonator.xyz where you just need a wallet address. So the 32 character wallet address, and you can connect to dApps if there isn't a sign-in with Ethereum in place and actually view the dApp as if you were that wallet. So there were some scams about a year ago where people were using impersonator and then sending videos to the wallet owner looking as if they had signed into different dApps with their wallet and, saying, give me money or else I'm going to, use this, use your account or whatever. And so they got scammed that way. So by actually signing the transaction and verifying that you are the user of the wallet, it prevents these things from happening. It's also a way to keep your user's data secure. Thirdweb does host or can host your backend for the user information instead of, again, you building that out, taking time to build it, maintain it, and then also have to worry about the security of that backend as well.
Damn, that's a pretty terrifying example there. I can't even. My stomach would drop to the floor if I got a message with somebody like impersonating they were in my wallet and like doing stuff. I would be freaking out. I can definitely see like the use case for this then too, and to use secure signing in where you're actually signing a transaction to prove that it's you. Yeah, that is important. It sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. It's something there's something that was definitely overlooked at the beginning, like especially when you look at like the bull market that happened, like the DeFi summer, NFT summer, but if you look to Web 2, it's very standard, right? You might log in with Google, you have login with different socials, you have login with email password, or which is honestly becoming outdated. You have Magic Link, and so with Thirdweb, you also have all of those Web 2 sign-in options as well. And I'd have to look into it, but I would assume that there's a way to connect them all under one account. I would assume there's a way to do that, especially with the universal profile. So you might be able to log in and use a dApp similar to the same way you would with logging in with your wallet, but using something like your Gmail, and then might have to actually sign the transaction if you were going to, transfer something or transfer money on the actual application.
Yeah, this sounds dope. This sounds like it's another tool in the tool chest for developers and projects building on LUKSO to make things easier for the user. So I'm
Oh
a
yeah,
big fan of this.
I'm going to be using it for sure. I mean, if you go on Thirdweb's website, you can actually see how much code is reduced by using their solution. And it's about, I think it's like 78 lines or 80 something lines to 7 lines of code to implement, full login auth that looks good and you can trust. So it's almost like a no brainer. And their pricing, it's free, I think up to like 50,000 users per month. And then if you're getting more than 50,000 users per month, it costs $1,000 per month. But if you're getting more than 50,000 users on your app per month, you're probably doing pretty well. So the pricing, although it seems a little scary, the free version is plenty for people that are just starting out and developing their new dApp. So I expect to see it used quite a bit in the hackathon, right? To me, it just seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, to your point, I'm just going to echo that. If you've got more than 50,000 users, I don't think you're worried about paying Thirdweb a little bit of money.
Yeah, I think it's 50,000. It's like around there, I believe.
Yeah, we'll have to circle back and talk about, at a later date, kind of, you said you're going to be using Thirdweb. I wonder before. All right, let's move into our next section.
Yeah, let's do it. So there was a tweet recently from Wolf of LUKSO talking about a AR Unity plugin for the universal profile. What does this mean? What could this mean?
Yeah, so this kind of got me some much needed hopium, just pure speculation nation. But I just kind of started connecting the dots in my head and kind of what some of the possibilities could be for this thing. And, right off the bat, you can think, oh, AR Unity plugin, this would be great for seeing somebody showcase their wardrobe from DMAT or Maison Licks or any of the other digital fashion projects that could potentially be launching on LUKSO. But when you kind of like zoom that out even further and think about things that have happened in the past, I know that it's either the latest wrap up that just happened or the one before that, alts and ETH I kind of did a callback to when Marjorie was in New York City and she was taking pictures in Times Square, and there was a big NASDAQ ad that had RayBan sunglasses on it. And then, Marjorie did a Instagram kind of Q&A session where people were kind of hounding her for clues as to who they were potentially working with, if that's a thing. And she did comment like an emoji of sunglasses. And then kind of analyzing the past few weeks and kind of what we've seen. We've seen RayBan step into the limelight with Meta in a collaboration to make the next generation smart glasses. And kind of when you put all that stuff together, can you see the connections that are happening? That maybe RayBan's working with Meta and we're working with RayBan, and maybe LUKSO is connected, therefore with Meta. Because that would be pretty dope. Having those glasses have the ability to see people's digital wardrobes. This is kind of the world that we've been talking about. What do you think?
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is. And, obviously this is a speculative segment of our show based off of a speculative segment in the wrap up. So please don't, please bear with us. And, we're providing some hopium to ourselves and to the community. But you're right, Beef. Like, this has been the world that we've been trying to create for such a long time. I mean, Fabian and Marjorie have been huge proponents of AR, VR, digital fashion. Look at the Dematerialized, all of the digital fashion that they've already produced. And then you also look at the District VR with Dennis Lisk being an advisor on the LUKSO board. We know that they have a close relationship, what they're building for the VR space. So, it only makes sense that they would be developing some sort of Unity plugin, AR, VR type plugin for the universal profiles. And yeah, I know, I think it's very exciting, and I really think it only makes sense. It's not something like, Fabian and Marjorie are hopping on this train because it's like the new hot topic. They've been thinking about these things and developing these things for what seems like a few years. So I think this is really special, and I think it'll be pretty important in the near future. I mean, Ethelorian said it in the wrap up too. Like, if you don't believe that there's a future economy in gaming, like gaming might be the economy in 15, 20 years down the line.
Yeah, and kind of talking about the past, I guess I did forget one crucial piece. Just using logic here, that these smart glasses have been in development for multiple years. Like, it's not like they just cranked it out in 2-3 months. We do have an advisor that used to work for Instagram, which direct connection is to Meta, Caroline Drucker. She does not work for them anymore, but a couple years ago she did. And if the connections run that deep to RayBan, to Meta, that all makes sense too. I don't know. That just little bit of hopium makes me drool with excitement. So yeah, I've been sharing it because we need it right now. Like the community needs it. So yeah, that's Beef's little shot of hopium.
Yeah, and along the same vein, in the official LUKSO GitHub repositories, I mean, this repository hasn't been touched since 2022, but it's a universal profile avatar SDK. So an SDK is like a developer toolkit. And you can think of it the same way you can think of Thirdweb, in the sense that instead of having 80 lines of code to use for your authentication, you have 7, right? So the same way, the universal profile avatar SDK is a way to implement the ability to load avatars from your universal profile to a game with a lot less lines of code. So people could use this kind of boilerplate template to implement into their video game and have the ability for users to, load their avatars into games, which I know is a dream for all of us, is, in this space, especially people in the artifact space. It's something that we've been talking about for years. And shout out to Bialello for being one of the first ones I saw on Twitter to use his clone and develop his own little world in Fortnite. Obviously you can't use your clone in a real Fortnite game, but you can go in the developer mode and implement these different 3D assets. So hopefully that, one day we'll get there where we can use our own avatars. And, based off of this GitHub repository, LUKSO has been thinking the same thing for over a year now. So that's, really something to, think about.
Yeah, definitely keep that in mind. They've had this vision for a long time. Again, it's not cooked up recently. It's been developing. So we're getting there.
Yes, we are. All right. And shifting gears a little bit, last week we didn't have an episode, but last week was Marjorie's birthday. So, she's co-founder of LUKSO, founder of the Dematerialized. Can we reflect a little bit on her contributions to the overall project and the community?
Oh yeah, that party was sick, by the way. I don't know if you looked at it on Instagram, but my gosh, like, I want to go. I want to party with Marjorie. They had a whole bathtub full of champagne, it looked like, too. I don't know if you saw that, but man.
Yeah, the whole party looked wild.
Yeah, it did. It looked like a great time. But she comes into LUKSO. I'm sure our listeners know, and she brings up all of these other potential connections outside of the crypto world together. Interest into what LUKSO's building, LUKSO's developing, so that when we're good to go, we can kind of circle back maybe and say, hey, the time is now. Check out what we've got. It's actually working and it's up and running now. And like keeping in mind, not everyone's going to have the risk, I guess, that wants to jump immediately onto a new chain. They maybe want to wait and see and make sure it's working a little bit before they get more interested in it. But it's definitely nice to know that Marjorie's in the trenches, making those developments, connections with people, and it'll make it that much easier when the time is right and when those companies are comfortable to circle back and say, all right, what do you think? Let's go potentially. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. She brings a different aspect to the LUKSO team that is much needed. Her creativity, the way she articulates in her talks, she's always on the move, always on the go, in a new city, on the road traveling, just kind of spreading the word of LUKSO, and is a brilliant and innovative mind. Everything that she's done at the Dematerialize to kind of be the pioneer and like the example for projects built on LUKSO. The Dematerialize is a very, very holds a very high standard for what projects building on LUKSO should aspire to be, right? The professionalness, the user experience, the aesthetics of the site, and everything in between. And I think that speaks volumes to her personality and her work ethic and her knowledge of people and markets and different things like that. So she's been truly inspiring in the space and is continuously winning awards for fashion. So I love having her as the co-founder of LUKSO, and I'm very excited to see, what she brings, in the future as well, right? Because she's an amazing person, and she's always on the move and always making these connections with new people and new creators to start building on this network, which is ultimately what we want and need in this space, right?
Definitely. And speaking of her being on the move, November 1st through the 3rd, she's actually speaking at Met AMS, which is in Amsterdam. And the title of her discussion is Connecting Creative Culture with Emerging Technologies. LUKSO, LUKSO, LUKSO. Yeah, so that's going to be super, super exciting. More pink pilling.
Yeah, very excited for that. All right. Do you want to wrap up this episode?
We can, but there's one other thing we should mention. The build up number 2 just opened up. Any interested devs should register as soon as possible because it opens October 30th and it goes till November 27th. And according to like the graphic that they posted when they announced it, it's got 250,000 euros worth of LYX. So it could be very beneficial to you and your team if you are a dev and you want to make something. I know I want to see it. I think I've heard through various chats there's 30 to 40 projects that are already signed up. So I am excited.
Yeah, very exciting times. And same prize pool as the last hackathon. So there are different bounties in the last hackathon. And I think for each category of bounty, I believe there was 3 prizes pretty much, usually going 30K, 20K, 10K for the top 3 finishers. So there's a lot of chances to win prize money. You could enter in multiple areas with different projects, different teams. They were very forgiving and open and honest about, you sign up with your team, but you could have more people working with you. You could have less people. They really just ultimately want projects and, ideas being built on LUKSO. So definitely get involved and sign up. It's a fun time.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. That'll wrap it up. As always, remember, none of this is financial advice. It's just a couple of dudes talking about what we love.
Peace.